Here we are coming up onto Narodny. The place I'd initially planned to eat would be just down there, but I'm not going to obviously eat twice, so that's that. Especially as I certainly ate my fill in there, that's for sure. So we're going back, if you like. Oh, there's an old-fashioned tram. I feel like we're going back to a period when if you'd gone up to a bookshop, in the window most of what you'd see there would be German books. And if you walked along the street you'd hear mainly German. And the names of Czech people to this day have a strong German influence. And yet they're Czechs like everybody else. There's somebody whose name is Paukert. Huh? Jan Paukert. But he'll be just a normal Czech. Same happens in Poland, of course, but less so. Czech goes so far as to allow people to retain their umlauts, and so does Slovak in their names. Whereas you won't really see that much in a Polish name that's of German origin. It'll be slightly Polified, and there are far, far fewer of them. Places like Gdańsk have them, a lot of people, and other Poles are always a little bit suspicious of them. There are those Poles who say that Tusk is too German for their liking, but then again he did win the election. I'll go different ways because simply going up the same way all the time is not very helpful. Haven't been up here. Well, I might have been. I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure. I've certainly seen and filmed that before, but I'm not sure I've been up here before. Once you get off the beaten track, it's amazing how derelict it becomes, how quickly. Interesting old style timepieces there, all of which showing slightly different version of the truth as far as time is concerned. Famous doctor lived there called Jan Mai. But please notice when we're talking about Poland and the Poles and the Czechs, Chaluniství is upholstery. Not that you'd tell from the window dressing, of course. Oh, you can tell it from that though. There's an interesting doorway. Anyway. The Czechs had to do with German speakers in the form of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So that's Vienna, that's the way that the Austrians did things. They were inclusive. They wanted your loyalty to a Catholic system, and so they made their Slavs, which were the Czechs and the Slovaks, they made them knuckle under and tried to get them to be loyal, to speak German, and gave them an area, Bohemia and what have you, which was theirs but was supposed to be loyal. But there weren't any kind of attempts at wiping them out or ethnically cleansing them. And so to a degree they could live together for, making certain compromises that most Czechs didn't really like, but which they'd made for hundreds and hundreds of years. And then if you compare that to the Poles didn't have to do in most cases, other than just Galicia, the Poles came across the German-speaking world in the form of Germans, and of Germans mainly Prussians, and also the Teutonic Knights. Both of those were, well, they weren't into the subtleties of statecraft and policing and secret services and things that the Czechs had to put up with Metternich and his bunch in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. They were just into downright force, brute force and ignorance. That was their way of controlling and ruling. So I'm sure I've been here before as well. So basically, there was outright warfare, often between Poles and Germans, and Poles and Germans pretty much never were on the same side. Unlike, for example, in the First World War, the Czechs were supposed to be on the side of the Austro-Hungarians, and as you can read in their famous book Schweik, they weren't, of course, particularly enamoured of being on the side of Germans, but theoretically that's what they were. They were supposed to be on the side of the Germans, and so you end up with Schweik being called to the front and then going on his anabasis and finding himself in all sorts of strange places with all sorts of excuses as to why he didn't end up going to the front until it was all too late, and that way probably saved his life, although the book isn't finished, of course. Right, well, it's telling me that I've got to the end of the battery, but anyway, that's effectively the reason why German language is reflected in names and in loan words quite differently in Czech and in Polish, and sometimes you get the same loan word in both languages. Sometimes you get a Slavic or a Latin word in Polish where you've got a German one in Czech, or vice versa, depending on what kind of word it is. And the really why that is all comes from the relationship that the particular country had with the German-speaking world.